Have you ever wondered why some people stay calm and relaxed, even in a very busy and distracted world with so many things going on, while others are crumbling under pressure? And it's not because they are special or they are meditating every single second of the day, because that's not what I want to speak about. I want to show you easy strategies that have worked for me and for many of my clients to go from constant anxiety and stress to calmness, stillness, and peace. So I'm going to show you how to calm your mind, body, and spirit, how to drastically reduce the stress in your life, and how to be more productive while doing less. So let's start with taking care of your mind, which is the most precious thing that you have in your life. Because the only thing that's really different from us to animals is our ability to think and reason. And it was late at night a couple of weeks ago, and I was laying in bed with my girlfriend. And it was a very calm and peace environment. We were watching like a movie and we had a great time. Don't worry, I'm not going to speak about sex, but I just couldn't relax. I just couldn't switch off. She was right next to me and she was like, Marlon, are you even paying attention to this movie? And I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to, you know, let her down and tell her that I'm not present, but I just couldn't focus. The only thing that I was thinking about was my stupid self-improvement checklist, right? So what I had to do all day long and what I failed to do all day long. So I wanted to wake up at 5 and go to the gym and meditate and take a cold shower and record a video, but I only did like 50% of what I said I would do. And that made me feel a deep sense of pain. But I wasn't still, I wasn't in the moment, I wasn't present, my mind was somewhere else. And you can probably relate to this. You wake up in the morning and you think about work and school. You have a bunch of responsibilities, you have to do your homework, you have to study, you have to revise some papers, you have to read a stupid book. And in the evening, you have a couple of minutes alone for yourself. And what do? You spend time on social media, on porn, on junk food, on video games. And that's exactly what I did. I was just distracting myself. I was never present in the moment. That led to a lot of problems. And honestly, all our problems come from not being able to sit alone in a room with ourselves because we are scared of our emotions, of our negative thoughts, of our darkest desires and fears. And I wanted to introduce you to the concept of system thinking. So we have an input, we have a process, and we have an output. And that output gives us feedback and is influencing our input. And the thing is, in the modern day world, the saying garbage in, garbage out is more true than ever. Because what are we doing all day long? We're just filling our mind, right? Putting inputs into our mind, which are garbage. We wake up in the morning, we check our phone. Oh no, Trump versus, some kind of, Trump almost got assassinated. Oh no, this is happening. New coronavirus, World War III, Ukraine versus Russia. All of that bullshit. And then at school, what is everyone speaking about? Stupid garbage shit. What are we putting into our mind these days? It's absolutely crazy. And that is, of course, producing negative outcomes. Because we're never in the present moment. We're just constantly distracting ourselves, running away from our emotions. And the thing is, the longer we suppress our true self, and the longer we suppress our emotions, the worse it will become. So you kind of like, this is you. And when you have a negative emotion, you don't want to deal with it, right? It's kind of like you're in a swimming pool and someone is throwing a beach ball at you, which is like a negative emotion, something negative in your life, and you're constantly pressing it underwater, right? You don't want to deal with it. So you're constantly using this energy to hold the ball deep inside the water. But what happens when someone else throws another beach ball at you? Now 2 hands are under the water, 2 hands are keeping you stuck, and you constantly suppress your emotions, you constantly suppress what's actually happening inside of you, and someone comes along, something happens in your life, something is stressing you out, throws another beach ball at you, and what happens now? All of the bottled up emotions come up and you're something like burnout, a midlife crisis, a panic attack. And that's not the state that we want to get to. We want to get to a state of inner stillness and inner calmness. So the first thing is to just turn off and drastically reduce the amount of time that you're spending on the thing that you're watching this on, your phone. So all you can do is just go into your settings. Go into your settings. Turn off all unimportant notifications. Because remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you want to have more stillness, if you want to be calmer, you need to be less reactive to everything that's happening in your life. And the honest truth is that most of what you're actually thinking about, most of the information that you receive is not beneficial. It's just creating more noise. Because what actually matters, the information that actually matters in your life, you will get it by someone else that's close to you, or by, you know, by looking it for yourself, but not by just observing everything in you, like in your environment, which is absolutely useless. So go into your settings, turn off all notifications that are not helping you. The next thing is to delete social media. Now, of course, I can hear you're coping. Oh, what else would I do? I have to connect with other people. If you want to connect with other people, learn to get over your fears and go outside and spend time with real people. Don't just look at social media. If you want to educate yourself, if you're watching videos like this, absolutely great. You're doing better than 99% of people, because everyone your age right now is watching porn or playing video games, and you're watching a long-form educational video. But be honest with yourself. How much time do you spend on social media a day? 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? I was addicted to social media, junk food, porn, video games for a long time, and I just indulged in that stuff for 9 hours a day for like 6 years of my life. And of course I couldn't think clearly, of course I couldn't be present. So what did I do instead? I got rid of my damn phone. I went outside into nature and I replaced it with books. So a couple of things that you can do instead of doom scrolling on social media, instead of watching endless amount of content, maybe even this video was a kind of procrastination to run away from your feelings and your problems, is to read books. Just read books. And if you don't like reading, just read something that you love until you love to read. You don't have to read, like a science book or whatever, or like a psychology book. Read fiction. Just do something else besides scrolling on social media. Get more high quality inputs. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. The next thing that you can do, go on a walk. The next thing that you can do, family time or friends. The next thing that you do, study, or if you don't want to get rid of your content consumption, consume long-form content, like you are right now. And like this might seem like a very easy and like not beneficial step that you might want to skip, but trust me, deleting social media, deleting video games, remembering system thinking, and what I put into my brain is what I will put out, absolutely changed my life. Because now, like this year alone, I read over 150 books, and this, I'm not saying this to boast, even though it feels kind of good and is satisfying the ego. I can proudly say that this habit alone changed my life, of deleting social media, reducing my inputs, and replacing those inputs with more high quality inputs, because then I can put out more high quality stuff. And the truth is that you can't do your best if your mind is elsewhere. You will perform your best when you are present in this moment, when you are very aligned with yourself, when you don't have bottled up emotions, when you're not suppressing anything, when you're actually here in the moment, still and present. So look at what's around you. Eat without watching something, eat without entertainment. Like I said, go into nature, go on a walk, really listen to other people when they are talking. And if you do think, you have to do the kind of thinking that 99% of people are not willing to do. And that's what brings us to the next step. You have to do the kind of thinking that 99% of people are not willing to do. And you have to join the top 1%, which is way better and more beneficial for your life. Because most people are just thinking about negative things. They're just waking up in the morning, they're like, oh my god, I don't want to go to school, I hate this. Why is my life sucking so much? And the thing is, what you think about is creating your reality. Because a thought creates like a bodily sensation, like an emotion, like a feeling, and what you feel and what you think about, you will act on. So when you're constantly in a negative headspace, when you constantly have hate towards other people, when you're constantly complaining, that's exactly what you will get. And that's why 99% of people are stuck. But when you do the kind of thinking that most people are not willing to do, which is deep thinking, and actually examining your thoughts, examining your life, examining yourself, sitting in silence without distractions and really figuring out what you want, what you stand for, what your values are, you can start to drastically change your actions and improve your life. And at the same time, calm your mind, because you actually know what kind of values you have, and you don't constantly have to reevaluate and think about, is this decision the right decision? Is what I'm doing right? Because you know it deep within you, which is giving you a lot of stillness and calmness. So here are just a couple of questions that you can think about, even journal about, which will also give you a lot of improvements. There are countless of studies that have shown that most successful people are journaling, and including like Albert Einstein, and all of the most successful people that and it's also improving mental health, cognitive functioning. It can reduce stress and make the recovery from a traumatic event way better. So just ask yourself, what is important to me? What is important to me? What do you value? Like, what are your real values? What do you stand for in life? Is it integrity? Is it faith? Is it, confidence? Is it empathy? Is it, giving more than you are receiving? What are the values? And you can start to align your actions with that instead of just thinking about, is this right or wrong? What is the true meaning of life to you? What is your purpose? What did you enjoy as a kid? Why are you on this earth? Is it to leave Earth and make it a better place? What is it that you want? And one thing that is super beneficial is just to track your behavior. Just write down, what did you do at each 30-minute section of the day? So you woke up in the morning, okay, I woke up, I brushed my teeth, I took a cold shower, I was meditating, I was journaling, okay, what did I do after that? I was scrolling social media and doing nothing. Track your behavior, find out where your behavior is positive or where it's negative. And that's how you actually change, because what gets tracked gets measured. And that's how you become more calm, because you actually know what you have to do and which decisions you have to make and what you have been avoiding and where you can make improvements in your life. And this brings us to a very important step towards finding stillness and calmness in the modern day world. You have to avoid ego and insecurity at all costs, because at the core they're just the same thing. Okay? So when you have a problem, when you have some kind of issue with your self-esteem, which are a lot of there are a lot of reasons for that, which I won't get into this video, but when you have a huge ego, you're covering up your flaws, and when you're insecure, you're making your flaws bigger, and both lead to chaos, both lead to not being still, both lead to not being calm, right? It's common sense. Like, people hate the egotistical person that is constantly boasting and saying that they're so great. They are also insecure. It's just the same thing on a different spectrum. And the insecure person is creating a huge ego to cover up the flaws, and the egotistical person is deeply insecure to cover up the flaws. And the insecure person is making their problems and flaws bigger and projecting them onto the outside world. So we have to get to a state where we are confident, not driven by ego, not driven by external validation, not making our self-worth dependent on grades, on performance, on praise, on other people, but from a sense of within, not being insecure and constantly projecting our insecurities onto other people and thinking that we are so terrible and so bad, which doesn't help us anyway, like kind of having this victim mentality and giving things outside of our control. So we have to build confidence, and a lot of people don't understand confidence. I did a lot of research, and it's just the ability to do what you think and say. That's it. Like, you can shout affirmations into your mirror. You can say that you're so great. You can do all of these little things. You can go to the gym and start building muscle, whatever. From within, it's living authentically. And when you live with integrity, when you live with authenticity, you can't help but to not be confident, because you know what you stand for. You know what you're thinking. You're thinking about going to the gym. You're saying you will go to the gym. And you don't go to the gym. Of course you won't have confidence. You have to align thinking, saying, and doing. And that's where you build confidence. And you do this over and over and over and over and over again until you become confident. And the next move is basically something like a confidence gap. So a lot of people think they have to be confident in order to act. So you're here right now, which is not confident, and you want to get over here, which is confident. And therefore you have to overcome this confidence gap. Right? You have to shift from a current version that you are right now into a new version of yourself. And everyone is waiting to act, to become confident. But confidence is not an act. A confidence is an act. It's not a feeling. It's not something that just happens magically. So you're currently waiting to be confident, but confidence is acting in alignment with your thoughts and what you're saying and what you're feeling. So you have to act despite being scared right now. I didn't want to record this video. I was not prepared to record this video. I didn't feel like it, but I knew that I thought about recording this video today. I wrote it on my to-do list. I said I will record this video today to myself. So I am here doing it, and that will give me an undeniable stack of proof that I can be confident, that I become confident. Confidence is an act, not a feeling. So now we're done with the mind part. Now let's speak about the soul. And with the soul, I just mean like our spiritual being, kind of like our emotions, everything that's going on inside of us. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it frequency, vibration, soul, emotions, emotional self, whatever. Not rational, not logical, like the reptilian part of your brain, whatever you want to call it, inner goings, whatever. And it's very important that the soul is still. Because you can calm your mind, you can calm your body, which we're speaking about later. But if inside you're not still, you're fueled by hatred, by anxiety, by, insecurity, by ego, which we spoke about before, you can't be calm, you can't be still. So there are 3 things that we have to do. First of all, it's just the word enough. A lot of people are chasing and chasing and chasing, and they have so many desires in life. That was the first reason that I spoke about in the story, that I couldn't be present, because I had a sense of not being enough, of not feeling enough, of not doing enough. And most people never learn that their accomplishments will not make them feel fulfilled. You can't get external things and make them, expect them to fulfill you from within. Nothing external will fill the internal void. So what we have to do instead of chasing money, goals, don't get me wrong, having goals, having ambitions, right? Working on a business, which I am doing right now, is absolutely fine. But it has to come from a place from within, where you're already feeling kind of fulfilled and happy. And I made a video on goals just a couple of days ago, so you can check that out if you want. But you just have to accept enough. There's this great story from this one golf guy, right? What was his name? Michael Phelps? No, there was a swimmer. There was this very famous black golf player. And he was chasing goals after goals after goals. He achieved everything that he wanted to achieve in his entire life, and was still miserable because he never learned to say the word enough. In fact, it was kind of a disgrace, like a bad thing for him to say enough to his father. Otherwise, his father would have beaten him. He constantly learned that striving for more is going to make him happy, but he realized that it just led to the opposite thing of achieving more, but feeling less inside and filling this void with more, with more drugs, more women, more alcohol, but led to absolutely nowhere. So learn to say enough. Know when enough is enough. Know when you have to recover. Know when you need to sit in silence, which we spoke about before in the mind part. The next thing is to accept a higher power. Because a lot of people are, again, very egotistical and driven by ego. And I don't believe that you can be still if you don't accept a higher power. So let me explain. I'm not religious. If you are, I don't care. I'm completely fine with that. But I believe in a conscious universe. I believe there's something out there in our universe that is guiding our actions. And that is giving me a lot of strength and inner calmness, because I know no matter what happens, the universe is trying to teach me a lesson. So if I fail, if I start to feel bad, I always look at the good side of things, because I know that I have to become the person that can achieve my goals. And that the universe is just testing me. So whenever I fail, I just think what is the world trying to teach me? What is the universe trying to teach me? And that way I have a lot of inner stillness and calmness, because I know that no matter what happens, I will be on the right track. And I can learn from any experience. I can learn from the positive side of the experience, or I can learn from the inverse of the experience if I have a failure. And the third thing that you have to do is inner child work, or called shadow work, which is tying in with fulfilling your soul from within. Because there are many things this is going to get deep. When I was 10 years old, imagine me walking through school, and I'm not as confident as I am right now. I'm not as good looking or whatever, or as muscular or whatever as I am right now, and I'm quite chubby and obese and extremely lonely. At that time, I was still addicted to porn, video games, and junk food, and I was a very easy target. I was always looking on the ground. I was never making eye contact with everyone. So I started to get deeply bullied at school. And because I got so heavily bullied at school, I developed a generalized anxiety disorder. So I feel anxious every single second of the day, no matter what happens. And that is just because my inner child got hurt. So when I was 10 years old, I got deeply hurt. And because I didn't want to deal with it, right, pain avoidance, I put it deep inside of me, and it didn't just bury the emotions that I had back then, because I didn't want to deal with them, I also buried the person that I was back then. So I basically have like a 10-year-old version of me, like my obese, chubby self inside of me. And this is basically called the shadow, like suppressed emotions and feelings and the self that you don't want to acknowledge. And I can get very deep on this. I made a bunch of videos on this already. You can just check out Carl Jung or shadow work. But all we want to do is to acknowledge that sometimes these emotions that we feel out of nowhere are not from us. They are from a part of us that got hurt 5, 10 years ago. And then we have to give this part what it needs. So ask yourself, okay, maybe you got deeply hurt. Maybe you got traumatized. What does this part need of you? Does it need love? Does it need acceptance? Does it need, some kind of whatever, something that fills it up? So I ask myself, okay, what does this suppressed, obese, lonely child inside of me need? It needs acceptance, it needs love, it needs company. And I gave it to them by saying to myself, okay, Marlon, I'm sorry what happened to you 8 years ago, but you are fine, you are safe. And you can also go back to the memory and basically change the outcome, which I won't get into deep now because I already made a bunch of videos on that. But that's basically shadow work. And those are the 3 things that you can do to calm your soul. Saying enough is enough, letting go of constant desire, letting go of achieving your goal and focusing more on the process, doing inner shadow work, calming your inner child, and accepting a higher power that will guide you towards beauty. And now let's talk about the final part, the body. And by the body, I don't mean like your flesh and blood. I don't mean training and going to the gym. I mean everything that you can do in your physical world. So everything that, like, you can walk, you can talk, you can build a routine, right? Which is actually one of the things on this list. And the first one is to just say no. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. If you're constantly saying no to yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So there's a specific framework that I got from the book Stillness is the Key, which I quickly want to read out to you. So first of all, if it's not a hell yeah, it is a no. You have to respect yourself. So hopefully you figured out your values, which we talked about before. And once you have your values, you can basically make a decision every single time you have to say yes or no to something. Because in the end, you're paying with your time. And your time is your life. And you don't want to spend your life doing things with your time that you don't want to do, because then you will end up regretting your entire life. So you have to learn to set boundaries and say no. If you don't want to do something, it is actually terrible for you, don't do it. Don't conform to the pressure of society, which I spoke about before in the video, how to discover your authentic self. So here's the framework. What is it that you have to say yes or no to? Why does it matter? Do I need it? Do I want it? What are the hidden costs of this decision? Will I look back from the distant future and be glad that I did it? And if I never knew about it at all, if the request was lost in the mail, if they hadn't been able to pin down to ask me, would I even notice that I missed out? And in fact, this framework was so life-changing to me that I wrote it down. And every single time I have to make a kind of important decision, like if I want to spend time with my girlfriend or rather work, if I want to eat the kind of food or not, if I want to go out into a party or not, I run myself through this framework. And then I decide if it's a hell yes or if it's a no. Now the next thing is to remove, right? In short, your mental and spiritual self can't be fulfilled by external things. And what you own ends up owning you. Now I have a question for you. You have a phone, right? And you probably were extremely happy when you got that phone. Maybe it was a gift from your parents. Maybe you bought it for yourself after saving up for months. And you bought this phone. Now, you would say that you own this phone, right? But look at the time that you're spending on your phone. Is it owning you or are you owning the phone? Because the things that we own end up owning us. The clothes that you bought, they end up owning you because you're constantly thinking about them and you're scared of losing them. The phone that you bought, you're constantly spending time on it and you're wasting your life away. The junk food that you bought, you think you own it, you're eating it, and it ends up owning you because it turns into like a physical manifestation of your body. So the things you own end up owning you. So just remove all of the bullshit. Go through you can do this on your phone, on your desktop, and in your environment, and just remove everything that is not contributing to your goal. Remove everything that you don't need because it's taking up extra mental space and energy that will be taken away from your stillness, calmness, and peace. And the more external things that you have that are super expensive, the more you worry about them. So put yourself into the position of like not a millionaire, but someone who's quite well off. Then let's say someone makes 100K a month, 100K a year, and they're buying like a super expensive sports car. And they can't really afford it, but they still buy that car because they want external validation. Every single time they drive that car, they are stressed out about whether they will crash or not because they know that they can't pay the insurance. Renting the car, way too expensive. Now they're stressed out about the finances. They see someone else with an even better car, and now the desire for a better car is even stronger, and they again think bad of themselves. So, can you get this point? What you own ends up owning you. And the third thing towards stillness and calmness is to build a routine. Because imagine you wake up in the morning and you instantly have 100 questions in your mind what you have to do for the day. Okay, what do I eat today? What do I want to wear today? What should I do today? What do I have to study for today? Who do I see today? Should I drink coffee or should I drink tea? All of this noise, all of this mess is robbing away from our stillness and peace. So just build a routine. And the single best exercise that you can do is to, first of all, write down your ideal day. Imagine you had all of the money in the world. You had accomplished all of your goals. What would your routine be? In autistic detail, what do you see when you wake up in the morning? Plan out your dream ideal day. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you touch? What do you smell in every single second of the day? And plan it out. Now, the second thing that you can do is just write down your most productive routine that you can follow right now. So for me, that would be waking up at like 4 a.m., taking a quick shower, meditating, journaling, affirmations, working for 2 hours, then going to school, then coming home from school and working again for like 5 hours. Then in the evening, like meditating again, eating clean, going to sleep on time. That would be the most productive ideal day. Just write that down. And now try to follow this routine as best as you can. And you won't be able to follow this dream routine that you wrote down 100%. But if you just follow it 60% of the time, you're way more productive than you are right now. Do you see the point? If you have no routine, you're just mindlessly wandering around. If you have the best routine, if you fail to stick to it, but you still do like 60% of the tasks, some days it's maybe 70, some days it might even be 80 or close to 90% where you're really on point. You end up being more productive. And if you need help applying these strategies, you can click on the first link in the description right now to book a free coaching call with me. Thanks for watching. Click on this click on the subscribe button and please take action.